Hey y'all, what's up? Welcome and welcome back to my channel. My name is Gabby if you are new here, and today we got another self-love video, and I want to talk to y'all about how to find yourself while on your self-love journey. I really want to talk about this because self-awareness in general is so important, but it's so important when you are wanting to become one with yourself again and love yourself. You cannot get to a point where you fully love yourself unless you are self-aware. You know, when you think about it, when Eve came into this world, when God created her from Adam's rib, Eve came into this world and she allowed the devil to deceive her. God made her full. God made her everything that she needed to be. She had everything, and yet she still wasn't self-aware enough to know herself enough to know that she did not need to have any conversation with that serpent. She was already given truly every piece, she was God's love. God created her from love. Everything was already in her, and she still stepped outside of her queendom to interact with the devil. When we are not fully aware of who we are and what we're doing, we do things that sabotage us and stop us from fully loving ourselves and living our life the way God intended us to live it, that we truly in our core want to live. God wants better for us than we even want for ourselves. And once you start coming into alignment with God and understanding how much he truly loves you and how much he wants for you, you understand that God is not trying to keep you away from love, peace, and joy and all that. Even when you're going through hardships, he wants that for you. And sometimes we have to go through hard things in life for us to open our eyes so that he can give us everything that we want. So if you want this love for yourself, you have to come into union with yourself, and you cannot come into union with yourself if you don't know yourself. Okay, so that's what we are getting into today. Make sure you subscribe if you're new over here, and if you already subscribed, hey sis, hey bro, it's nice to see you this week. So the first thing that you need to do when you want to find yourself, or if you're trying to find yourself in your self-love journey, is to put a halt to all of your projects. Now, if you are working, or if this is something that you already committed to or something, and it's a project that you have to do, then by all means continue to do that. Don't want you to fall out on your word. Don't want you to get in trouble at work. But just make sure you are very intentional with that type of work. Schedule when you're going to work on it, and schedule when you're going to stop. You can't allow this type of work, these projects, to go on for hours and hours on end. You're going to have to be intentional about it. But anything else that you have going on, any personal projects or anything like that, you have to put a stop on them. You have to put these things on pause, because right now the project is you. I don't want to objectify us in that way as a people and call us a project, but the way, the time and energy that you know you need to put into a project, or that you have to put into a project, or the deadlines and everything that you know you have to meet for a material project for somebody else, for work or whatever, or even that you're trying to do for yourself, you have to put that same type of time and energy and thought into yourself. Like, even if you're that type of person who will procrastinate on a project, you know better. Like, you know you're not supposed to be doing that, but you still have this pull to do your work and work on that project because you know that's what you need to do. That's what it is. That's what this season is. You have to prioritize yourself and work on yourself, and you cannot do that to the full extent or the way that you truly need to when your mind and your energy is all over the place with all these other projects, with all these other people. You have to get centered. You have to put the things that you're able to put on pause, and the things that you cannot, you have to strategize them so that you can center yourself and prioritize yourself to work on yourself. The next thing you need to do, which we hear all the time, is a very popular one because it's so important. You have to cut out the screen time. You have to cut down on the TV, especially if it's garbage TV, the social media, even on some of the podcasts and the books. Anything that doesn't add to you and your mind for you to continue to learn and grow. And even still, you got to make sure you are on top of how much of that you are taking in. This is so important to do because when you are finding yourself, like you're essentially getting to your core. And when you have too many of these other videos or social medias or whatever else you're looking into going on, it just allows in too many different thoughts, opinions. It's too much coming from outside, and you have to hear from yourself and you have to hear from God. And it's too easy to get confused when you have so many other voices, so many other images constantly coming into your mind, coming into your ears, circling around. Most people who are on a journey of self-love and find themselves in a place where their thoughts are just exploded in their minds, like they're always thinking about something or notoriously thinking about the same thing over and over and over. It's like the thoughts never processing. You're always thinking about the same things. That is something that is fueled by you constantly allowing content in. So you have to cut a lot of that stuff out that is not doing you any favors. And even the things that are doing you favors, like when I went through this in my process of finding myself, I wasn't watching TV, either deactivated my social medias or just took them off my phone. And I did allow certain things in, like I used YouTube only for learning, and I was listening to audiobooks only for learning. But I found myself at sometimes throughout my journey indulging in this digital audio content or this video content, and I would start feeling myself get overwhelmed because there was so much coming in that I didn't have enough time to process what I just heard or just learned, or I was starting to feel like this empty feeling inside, and that would let me know, okay, you need to cut back down on the screen time and on the audio time, because the more time you spend staring at a screen or listening to a podcast or a book, the more time you disconnect from yourself because you're not recentering, you know. So it's very important to not let all of these other thoughts and opinions and criticisms or even helpful criticisms without giving yourself time to just be. Also, these things could just essentially end up just being distractions. We do not need all these extra distractions when we are serious about our self-love journey and serious about getting to a place where we just feel like one whole person. When you want to be one and whole and present yourself as such, you have to put in the time, and the time comes with you being mentally present, and having a lot of screen time truly gets in the way of that. Next, you have to pull back on your social life. You probably already knew this was coming because of what we just talked about, but you have to. And I think a lot of people feel like when it's being said you need to cut everybody off and go ghost, it sounds very pernicious, it sounds very toxic to do that, but I think it's just the way that it's stated that makes it sound like that, because it sounds like you just have to disappear, and it doesn't have to come off like that. Like when I went through my period where I knew I had to cut back socially, I reached out to the people that I talked to the most, and I told them, hey, I'm going through something right now, so if you don't hear from me as often, just know that I'm still thinking about you and I'm okay. I just have to figure some things out. You can do that. You don't have to just cut everybody off and just like fall off the grid and people don't know what you're doing or where you're at. Now, it's going to seem like that to people who you don't talk to like that, because you're not posting anymore, you're not commenting, you're just not interactive online. They may not be getting texts from you or calls from you like that. You can tell the people that you have the closest communion with that you're just going through something right now, you just need some time, you know, so people can know that you're okay, because a lot of times people just concerned about you, and so people won't really feel any type of way if they go a while without hearing from you, because that's very respectable for you to just let them know, hey, I'm processing something right now. People that really love you and care about you will hear you and respect you, and they will be rooting for you and want the best for you. But you have to step back from your social life, from some of the same reasons that I was saying about social media. This journey to self-love and this journey of being self-aware and finding yourself is very personal. It's very, very personal. You gotta spend this time with you, and you gotta spend this time with God so that you can know. Anytime that you're confused, it's not a time for you to go seek counsel from a friend or even from a parent, because these are the same people that you've been talking to all this time anyway. This is about you, and nobody should know you better than you know you. So you have to start learning how to ask certain questions and understand really how you feel and what you think. Getting counsel from someone vetted and professional where you want to be going is all fine and gravy. Like, there is a point in time where that is acceptable during this journey. I'm not saying don't do this, don't do that at all, and just be alone, like and just sad and lonely this whole journey. But I'm saying that there is a very crucial point in time where it needs to just be you. You just have to be focusing on you without outside sources, because it's personal. You know what I'm saying? The time to come back to other people and to connect with other people and to grow and to get guidance and direction from people who know what they're doing, know what they're talking about, is going to come. You need to be able to establish your own thoughts, feelings, opinions, and beliefs. And that's so much harder to do when you're always talking to other people and interacting with other people and going to other people and telling people your business and all of this and all that. Like, in the back of your mind, their thoughts and their beliefs and what they might feel and what they might think is lingering back there. And that stuff really needs to slaw off of your mind so that you can become more full of what you think and what you feel and what you believe. And so after we've done these things, all of these things will create space for a quieter environment. And that is what you need. Even if you live with other people, if you're a parent, like, doing these things, which is to be intentional with or cut out other projects, cut down screen time, and cut down social life, will create just even more of an opportunity for you to get that quiet space. For a lot of us, it is really difficult to get in a quiet space. So these 3 things are essential to help us in getting closer to that quiet space. And even if you still have troubles, you probably will have to get up a little earlier in the morning or stay up a little later at night. But honestly, I think for most of us, we really don't have to do that, because if you think about it, think about all the times that you just spend just scrolling on your phone or just sitting around idle for a minute or watching TV. Anytime that you're doing all of those things, call for a moment that you could have spent quietly by yourself instead of ingesting some sort of content. So there's probably something in your 12 to 14 hour day that you can cut out to have a moment of silence with yourself. So we're talking about getting in a quieter space right now. So we're going to be on this point for a little minute, because this is where a lot of the work starts to come in. Because once you get in a quieter space, you can start becoming more aware of the things that are going on in your head. Sometimes it feels like our voice is amplified by like a million in our head. We can't even fully get through one thought because another thought is already popping in. Then that thought takes us to something that we went through 10 years ago, and then it triggers something that, you know, is happening currently that we think might be relative to what we went through all those years ago. There's so many things that we go through that we never really process or fully understand, that really just cakes up in our head. And when you are in a quiet space, you can start to see how much is really going on in your mind, and it's outrageous. And this is important because it helps you figure out the main concerns in your life so that you can know where to start in getting this mental and emotional and spiritual work done. Because when you sit with yourself long enough, it's like you'll become aware of your thinking, and you'll start to notice which things in your life you are thinking about the most. over and over and over again. Like, we have the same thoughts over and over again. And when you can become clear on what thoughts, or at least topics or situations you're thinking about the most, that will give you a foundation of, okay, this is something that I need to start processing right now. Another very, very crucial thing for you to write down will be to write down the feelings that you feel every day. Now, this sounds very simple, but it is so powerful, because I think we tend to carry a lot of burden and feelings every day that have become so normal that we don't realize we're carrying them every day. Like, there's certain big ones that we're aware of that we're carrying every day, but not everything that's kind of running in the background. You know what I'm saying? So think about a normal or typical day in your life, or how you feel right now, or whenever you decide you are ready to do this part of this process. Write down every feeling that you feel on an everyday basis. The good ones too. I did this, and there were no good emotions. And you would think somebody that's in a slump, you know, somebody that's lost or trying to find themselves, would realize how they're feeling every day, but these emotions have become so normal. It just becomes normal life that you don't even realize what's really sitting within you. And on an everyday basis, I was feeling worried, afraid, frustrated, angry, sad, irritated. You know, like, these were everyday emotions. And when I wrote them down on the paper, I'm like, oh my God. Not me feeling like this every day and I didn't even realize it. You got to get it on the paper, so it's not just floating around in your mind and floating around in your body, and you can see it right in front of your eyes. Like, whoa, this is really what I'm dealing with. And this is so important because it allows you a true lens into your own life, for you to start really breaking down and understanding why do I feel this way? Where are these feelings coming from? What is initiating the good ones, and what is triggering the negative ones? And then once you start to dive into the causes of these emotional feelings relative to your life, you can start to figure out if this is coming from something or some place or someone, and why does it have me feeling like this? How is it that I feel like I'm unable to come out of it or control it? What have I done to try to make it better, or try to make these things not affect me so heavily? It will just open a whole world of questions that will be very constructive for you in moving from this place of emotional turmoil. Because let's be honest, most people are experiencing emotional turmoil when they don't love themselves, or they're learning to love themselves, or when they're lost, or when they don't even like themselves. It's just so much confusion. It's so much confusion. You and your body are so accustomed to feeling these negative downward feelings and emotions that you really don't know otherwise, because it's been that long. These feelings are normal and natural, but they're only meant to be for a short period of time. And when you're living like this, it becomes a part of you, and you have to learn how to start breaking it away. So with this all, the next thing that you need to do in finding yourself in your self-love journey is to start getting to the core. You got to start getting to your core. And that's what the last step is going to start opening up for you. And when I say get into your core, like, just think about it. Think about when you were a child. Even if there were traumatic things that happened back then, when we were children, that's when we were the most pure and innocent. That's when we were most ourselves. We weren't afraid to naturally say what was on our mind, or, you know, hang out with certain friends, or say things to our siblings, or enjoy doing certain things. It was after we were being treated certain ways, or certain things happened to us that made us feel like nobody cared what we thought, or there was some friend who, you know, I don't want to be your friend anymore, and just go hang with somebody else. Like, there were things that happened to you in your life that just changed the trajectory of you personally. You were who you were when you were young. And part of an adult's job, teachers, aunties, uncles, parents, is to help you build on who you are. But instead of doing that, most adults want to control children, and children can be really cruel to other children. So eventually we morph into something else, or we just become unruly because we want so bad to be ourselves, and people just won't accept that. So over time you just stray away or become this coarse version of who you really are. So we go to the core. When we go to the core, we think about who we were as children. What did you like to do? What did you love to do? What is something that you couldn't stand? What are things that you had to tolerate? What things did you value about yourself, in yourself? Is it possible that you never thought about valuing anything about yourself? Were you living life and never really thought about how you looked or thought about how you dressed? You know, because there are some things that we haven't done or we don't know to do because it's never been planted. You know, like a seed is not going to thrive that's never been planted. You just don't know what you don't know, you know. But it's important to think back on who you were and how you were as best as you can, because it's, you know, it's a long time ago. You know, a lot of times we don't remember. If you don't remember everything, that's fine, you know, but there's always some things that kind of pop out to you, memories that pop out to you when you were young. What do you think that stuck so much? You know, like I have this memory where it was a big family event. It was a beach day. We were all going to the beach as a family. We did this from time to time. This story is just one that we laugh about now. Basically, everybody left to the beach without me. Like, they left me. My mama was like, once they realized it, she was like, oh my gosh, we left Gabby. And it was like frantic. But from my point of view, I remember being in the house and it was just quiet. And I went to the living room and I looked out the window kind of like, what's going on? It was just like, I didn't freak out when I realized that I was left behind. And I was young. It was probably like 4 or 5. It didn't feel traumatic to me. It doesn't really shake me in any way, but I think that stands out to me because it ended up kind of just being the story of my life. You know, somebody that's quiet and has such a small voice and was the good kid, I often got bypassed. People forgot about me, and it's something that kind of trailed on into young adulthood, people just forgetting me. So that's something that stands out even though I was so young, because it's something that continued to be normal in my life. My family never left me in a situation like that again. I never got left behind like that again, but in normal, natural settings, I was like invisible to people a lot of times. So just something like that, even if it's just some event or something that you can remember, even just pieces of or partially. They say that memories stick the best. We remember things the best when there is emotional attachment to it. It's very unlikely for us to remember something that there was no emotional attachment. So for something emotional like that, whatever it was in the past that happened to you and you still remember it, it says something about you. It says something about your life or about your upbringing, things like that. And some of these things can be very difficult, and that's what I was saying earlier when I was talking about counsel. When it comes to stuff like this, getting to your core is when you may need some professional help to help you process and you know, think about things that you aren't able to do on your own. And in this process of getting back to your core, when you are thinking about the things that you liked as a kid, that you valued, that you didn't like, do you do them anymore? If you don't do them anymore, why not? Do you have a desire to do them anymore? Did you feel like you needed to stop because you weren't good enough? It was a waste of time? Like what happened, or what part, or why do you think you deviated away from the things that you used to enjoy? Things that you are doing now that you don't enjoy. Why do you think you're doing them? Why do you think you're doing something that you don't want to do? Is it just to appease other people, to make them happy? Is it just so you can try to look like a person to other people that they think you are to validate them and make them correct. I mean, what is it? The next thing you need to do, once you've sat with and evaluated your core, what you value and what you don't value, and I say value because there could be things that we like but that are not good for us. But when you value something, it digs deep into your soul, into your spirit. It means something to you emotionally, spiritually. When you value something, when something is valuable to you and for you, it's a whole nother level of just liking something. So once you've got to the point where you have found your values, what things mean to you and who you were, start thinking about who you are today. What parts of you today do you like? What parts of you today are ones that you value, and what parts of you today are ones that you don't? This is very important, because if you're lost, you've just come to a point where you're just a big melting pot of all those things. So you're gonna have to figure out what's me and what's not me. Why did I think this was me? Why did I feel like this was me? You gotta start figuring out who you are. When I first came across the question a few years ago, who am I didn't even know how to answer that. There was no answer, but I can answer that now. I know truly who I am, and I have the confidence now that the person that I am and that I'm presenting myself as is not the Gabby you know. You just never knew the real Gabby. You know, that doesn't make me feel any type of way, and I don't think it should make that person feel any type of way either, because if the way I'm presenting myself is different than what you knew or what you thought you knew, that's okay. We can still get to know each other over again. Like, how fun. You know, it's just, I'm not that. I'm not who I thought I was, you know, so it would make sense that I'm not who you thought I was. So it's very important for you to start deciphering these things so you can understand who you are. And from there, the next thing that you need to do is start collecting and tossing. And by that, I mean all of the things that aren't you, that don't align with you, that you don't want to do, toss it. Get it out of there. All the things that you value, that you want to keep, that you love about yourself, keep that stuff and hold tight to it, because that's a part of you. That's a part of you. You like what you like. It feels so good to know when you don't like something and stand on it. It feels extremely good when you know when you do like something and you can relish in that, because it all adds to your identity and who you are. And the next thing you need to do, which is a collection, a cohesive connection of all of these things, is to build from there. You take everything that you've done up to this point and you build from there, because all of those things are the foundation. And you build from there by speaking these things. We think of affirmations and we think of saying these things to ourselves, saying these things in the mirror, and yeah, that's very important, but I would like to highlight how important it is to just speak these things when you're talking to other people. You know, when you talk to somebody and you tell them, yeah, I'm not into that. Oh yes, I love doing that. Okay, let's go. You're affirming. And I think when you do it with somebody else in a conversational way, it's so much more powerful. Because I don't know about y'all, but I can't stand feeling like I'm not being true to myself, or like I'm lying about myself to somebody. I don't like that. I don't like feeling like I'm lying about myself when I'm speaking to other people. So if it's something that I know inside, but I'm trying to, you know, rev up my belief system, I'm going to speak that in conversation when I'm talking to somebody else to affirm it even stronger in me. Like, okay, I'm not just saying this to myself, I'm telling people this about myself. So that really makes it real. You know what I mean? Like, it's so powerful when you connect with other people, especially when it's somebody that you actually, you know, care about and value. But even if it's just a stranger, either way, like, they both have their own levels of depth. And you saying these things about yourself to affirm and confirm this is true about me, because I'm not just saying it to myself now, I'm telling the world. So when you affirm these things with other people, it goes so much beyond just saying it to yourself in the mirror. But that counts too, so you can do that too. You figured out what you like and you don't like. You figured out what you value and you don't value. You have to do the things that you value. Add more of that into your life. And you have to start stepping away from the things that don't mean you any good or that you're not interested anymore. You know, you stop faking around and you just, you know, you're yourself. You start coming into yourself and realizing that I would rather be who I am. I love myself more than I love my relationship with that person, because if that person really loved me, they would love me. They wouldn't love this fantasy creation of me that I've built up to have this connection with them that's really false. They're connected to a fake person, not me. Once you realize that, it'll be easier for you to start being yourself, because if that person really loves you, when you come into yourself, when you blossom, they're gonna stick around. But for you to be yourself, if they step away, they weren't really for you. You know, and it may be a period where that's sad, but at least you know you're that much closer to having people around you who love you for who you know you are. So you don't have to pretend, and you can, you know, start walking on eggshells and just be yourself. Can you just imagine how free that feels? And then when you're building on all of this work that you've done, you start to do things that make you feel confident. Confidence may have been a struggle for you, but when you start doing things for yourself and in yourself that make you feel confident, naturally you begin to feel more confident. And the self-love is just, come on, it just drives up higher and higher. You know, you feel good about yourself, so you love yourself even more for being and feeling confident. Another thing to do in building on yourself is to watch people who empower you or who inspire you, who relate to you. Being around people like this may be a little harder because it takes time to build that networking, and these type of people may not be around you. But in today's time, connecting with people online, it's a real thing. You know, I have subscribers. I love all of y'all, but I have a few subscribers that I have the opportunity to talk to in the comments. Like, I want more of y'all to comment so, you know, we can, you know. But I have a few of y'all that comment that I love, you know, connection with y'all. I love conversation. I love speaking and talking with like-minded people. It feels so good when you're going a certain way in life and when you're growing and blossoming and there's other people who are doing the same, or they're learning from you and you're learning from them, and you can just continue to bond and grow truly in who you are becoming when you're around these people. That's one thing, and that's very powerful. But just connecting with these people is powerful too, even if it's somebody that's so beyond your reach and that you watch. There's so many people out here, and it doesn't even have to be somebody that's wildly famous. But don't idolize these people. I'm not saying that, like, don't make these people your everything where you want to bow down at their feet. But learn from these people. You can grow from these people. You have to upgrade your physical and digital and spiritual circles. And another crucial thing that you need to do when you are building on who you are in yourself, in your self-love journey, you need to find out how much God loves you, what he said about you, and what Jesus said about you. I'm telling you, when I found out that Jesus said that I am the salt of the earth and that I am a city on a hill that cannot be hidden, that I am a lamp that cannot be covered by a basket or a lampshade, when I was in my darkest moments, it blew my mind. You said that about me? Me, little old me? It really started turning things around for me. You have to go to the source and find out what your creator, the one who made you, literally created you in your mother's womb, said about you and how they feel about you. And it brings this whole new level of love and confidence that you could have never experienced on your own. I'm telling you. I'm telling you. I'm telling you what I know. I'm telling you what I've seen. I'm telling you. Because if you go back a couple of years and you watch my videos, I was looking how I was looking and I was sounding how I was sounding for a reason. Sis was hurting back then. Sis was hurting. But, you know, we done came up. And all glory goes to God. Amen? Amen. that's it for now, y'all. I really hope y'all enjoyed this video. I love y'all so much, and until the next one, peace and love. I'm out.